My name is Louie Winters, and I'm still not sure if I'm dreaming or not. To make a long and traumatic story short, I was 23 years old when I moved out of my dad's place and into my own apartment. It was a well-needed fresh start for the rest of my life. I was so excited. But it didn't last long. It never lasts long. 2 months in, and the apocalypse starts. At least I think it's the apocalypse. They told us to stay barricaded indoors and hoard food and water and weapons and to never, ever leave the safety of your home. I did exactly what I was told, and I'm sure I lasted longer than most other people, especially after the fireballs started falling from the sky, hitting every building around me. I heard the screams. I saw people flee to the streets just to get killed anyways. The sky was a dark red. The smoke was heavy, pierced only by a constant chorus of screams and cries, until one day the screaming stopped. I was alone. Did everyone else die? Did I die too? The silence kept me awake for days. Every time I closed my eyes, the screaming would start again. The only sight behind my eyelids was dozens of severed arms reaching out for me, whispers in my ears saying I didn't deserve the life I had. The only reason I had kept it that long was because I was a coward. I hid the whole time, and the only reason I didn't die was repeated strokes of dumb luck. I didn't know how long I was awake, but sleep won eventually. I was ready for the arms to take me to whatever fate I deserved. I was tired. I didn't want to be scared anymore. I felt a light envelop me. And when I woke up, I was in a closet. And for the first time in a long time, I saw someone. I didn't dare move. I was terrified. I was relieved. I could sob with joy or I can die of embarrassment, and I think if I tried hard enough, I could do both at once. We just stared at each other for a long while. It began to feel awkward after a bit. I didn't know what to do. What should my first words be to the first person I've seen alive in weeks? Can I use your bathroom? He nodded and pointed me down the hall. I walked into the bathroom and realized it looked a lot like the one in my apartment when I had first gotten it. The layout was the same, at least. I looked in the mirror. It was clean, not a single crack or scratch on it. I looked at myself. Was I really still alive? The sleepless nights were announced by the bags under my eyelids. They almost looked bruised. My hair was a mess, as I expected. Even before, it never knew how to stay still. The now singed ends and lack of conditioner didn't do it any favors. Despite the imperfections, the person in the mirror was still me. It was still someone who was alive, someone who survived. I splashed some water on my face. Now I had to go find that other guy. Maybe thank him for this? Or apologize. It depends on if he knew how I got here. I walked down the hallway to the bedroom. Wow, this place really was just like my apartment. I stepped through the door and saw the window. I wanted to cry at how beautiful it was out there. The sky was blue. The building across the street was still standing. There were still people out there. There were still trees. The leaves were orange, but not because of the flames. There was no smoke, no explosions. I was back. I was home. My eyes settled on the guy sitting on the bed. The excitement faded. This wasn't my home. None of this was mine. I sat down, the weight of reality suddenly being too much for me to carry. I introduced myself. Everything was a blur. I explained what happened. I was silently pleading the whole time. Please let me stay. Please let me live just a fraction of the life I was so excited for. To my surprise, he let me stay, on the condition I help with the house, of course. I agreed instantly, and we set to work unpacking his stuff, because apparently it was his first day living here too. I wanted to ask so many questions, but my mind and my mouth weren't cooperating with each other. It felt like if I knew more about what was going on, if I let myself speak more than I had to, then the universe would realize there was a mistake and I wasn't meant to be here, and it would send me back to my apartment with the flames and the rot and destruction. I couldn't go back. So we spent most of the day in silence. We moved some heavy stuff up the stairs. Once everything was inside, he said he was going to go return the truck, and I stayed in the apartment. I sat by the window, and I still couldn't believe it. Everything was normal, so wonderfully normal. I cried. I didn't mean to, not so soon at least, but the relief and the fear and everything I had just been through caught up to me. I held myself and sobbed. There was no way I was alive. I had to have died on the floor of my actual apartment. I had to be dreaming. I had to be dead. Nothing else made any sense. Maybe this was heaven. Maybe this was hell. Maybe this was something in between, but I had to be dead. But if I was dead, why do I still feel the tears streaming down my face? How can I clutch onto the sleeves of my sweater? Why can I feel the sunlight the same way I did before it was replaced by flames? I couldn't answer any of these questions, and I don't know if I'll ever find the answers to any of them. I picked myself up. This was a mistake, and at some point, someone or something would realize it. So the best thing to do for now was to lay low and hope I could hide from it. If I hid, I can get away with being here. I went back to unpacking. It felt weird rummaging through boxes that weren't mine. Even weirder when I recognized some stuff I used to have. I distracted myself by playing knickknacks on the windowsills until he came back. He brought a pizza, which was a very welcome surprise. I ate through half of it like it was nothing. We didn't say much the rest of the night. I made a place for myself on the couch, but I was scared to close my eyes. The couch was so soft, though, and I was exhausted, so I fell asleep. It was the most peaceful sleep I had in a long while. So peaceful that I didn't wake up until I smelled breakfast cooking. I sat up, my eyes still adjusting to the sunlight in the room. The other guy turned around. "Hey, you're up." I nodded, sleepiness still lingering. "Good morning," I managed to say as I rubbed my eyes. He didn't say anything else, just set 2 plates of eggs on the counter. I warily made my way over. "Thank you," I mumbled as I grabbed one. I ate quickly. I missed eggs so much. The carton I had went bad a week after everything started. I could feel him watching me from the other side of the counter. I probably looked crazy, but I couldn't help it. I finished the plate and looked up to see him staring at me. He shook his head. "Sorry, you're really here, aren't you?" I nodded. "Yeah, no idea how, though." He kept looking at me. "We have the same name. You ended up in my apartment. This probably wasn't an accident. There's a reason this happened." I looked back at him. "What do you think the reason is?" He paused for a second. "I don't know, but I guess we'll find out eventually." He went back to his plate of eggs. I got the feeling this guy didn't like talking much, which was understandable given the circumstances. I washed up the plates and looked around the room. There were still plenty of boxes to go through, and a couple more days of unpacking in silence sounded great to me. So I got to work, ready for day 2 of living here.